Well, when I don't land a trick and I have my mind set on something and I'm not getting what I want, I just keep going for it until I get it right. My mom, she didn't go to college, so she wants me to experience that whole thing, and so I could end up getting like a good job. I think to get into college, I'll have to be determined, just like when I want to get a new trick, and skating's helped me realize I've got what it takes.
Hi, and welcome back to Joy in Our Town. I'm Kelsey Bridges, and I'm again joined by Andrea Harrell and Christina Brooks of the Youth Career Center of Hampton Roads. And in the last segment, we were talking about youth applying for summer jobs and about that process. And now we're going to switch gears a little bit, still talking about the issue of youth in the community, but really working on how they can develop career skills as teens, which is such an interesting topic because as you get older, your skills are going to change, your interests are going to change, but how much more so can you better yourself by taking the initiative to being involved in these things and looking at your skills and looking at what you're good at when you're a teenager and you're that much far ahead of the game than starting when you're out of college at 22 years old.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, great. Well, we're excited to jump into this topic. First of all, when you think about it, where do you even start as a teenager if you're going, I don't know what I want to do with the rest of my life. I don't even know if I want to go to college. Where do you start getting an idea of career skills that you're even interested in?
There are a lot of different things that our teens and young adults can do to start exploring what kind of career options are out there. You can take your traditional assessments, which will help you identify the interest, skills, and abilities, and that can be a good launching point to see what your interests are. But you can take it that step further and start to explore the things that you're really passionate about, whether that's through maybe shadowing someone who's doing a job you're interested in, or volunteering somewhere. Let's say you really like furry things and you might want to work with animals, so volunteering somewhere that does that. And even some vet clinics will take in volunteers to show them the ropes of what they do. You can do informational interviews where you spend 20 minutes saying, tell me about you. How did you get there? What does a day in your life look like? Get a tour of the facility that you think the career you're in might be interested in. There are, online, in a very much a technical world and an internet world, there are great videos out there that showcase different career options. There are even professionals that do live chats and live streams of them doing their job throughout the day. So you can chat with someone in a lab in Alaska who is studying some kind of environmental issue and see what is it like in their life to do that. Then you can also participate in community-based programming like what we offer at the Youth Career Center, where we have full-day career immersion programs. We bring in professionals who specialize in the career topic of the day. So for example, in August, we'll be running a 911 emergency response program where firefighters and police officers and 911 dispatchers and the Marine Rescue will come in and talk about what they do and how they do it. And then in the afternoon, we're going to simulate a hurricane hitting Hampton Roads. The youth will be able to participate in scenarios to figure out, where do I set up a command center? How do I get organizations to talk to each other? Where do I set up my triage? How do I identify who I'm going to rescue first? How am I going to do it? How do I call in the National Guard? At what point do I activate the governor? They have to go through that scenario and figure out, what do I do now? How do I get the press involved? How do we get the warnings out that there's a hurricane coming for us? So by the end of the day, they'll have a pretty good idea about what it's like to be a police officer, to be a paramedic, to be a firefighter, to work in the 911 dispatch, and it's such a variety. And we run programs like that throughout the year. So that's another opportunity to learn what it's like to do the job.
That's fantastic. I want to go do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. And really good experience too. And not to say, it sounds like fun to try to prepare for a hurricane, but just being able to kind of put yourself in that scenario and in those shoes and going, can I do this? Would that be something that interests me? Does that tap into my skill set, or does that scare me and I don't even think I could handle that? And that's a great thing to figure out before you're invested in that kind of a career and then figuring it out. That's great. It's almost like, as young kids, you kind of want to play police officer or fireman or whatever, but then you get in that role. Do you really want to play that?
Do you really want to do it?
Do you really want to do that? That's a great experience. Wonderful. But why do you think it's so important that youth start at that age in their teens, or even late teens, early 20s, to figure out what they want to do and looking at a skill set, like a 15-year-old, why should they, I mean, they're probably thinking about, I want to drive, I want a car, all that different stuff. Why should they start looking and thinking about their future career?
Well, it's really never too early to start thinking about what you want to do with your life, identifying what your interests are, what your skills are. We even recommend as early as middle school to get started with that.
Okay.
And the reason for that, in this technology age, careers are becoming more and more technical. There's more and more specific training that's needed. And so as you're planning your classes that you're going to take in high school, you have to really even start thinking, what kind of a level of math do we want to go into? Or what kind of sciences to take? Things like that in high school. So you really start as early as possible. And it's all about being prepared to take that next step after you graduate from high school. Do you want to go to a 4-year institution? Do you want to get some sort of technical training? What is it that you need in order to make that first step into your career? And so high school is really the place to start doing that. Just kind of exploring, what is it that you feel like is going to be the right career for you after you graduate.
That's great to be forward-thinking, thinking about the future instead of just, well, I want to go, do this on the weekend, and I want to go do my sports games and whatever, but actually thinking about going forward and where do I go from here? Because I think a lot of youth in that age frame, you only think about, those 4 years, and they go by so quickly when you're in high school.
Yes, they do.
And then the rest of the future is what, you don't really think about as much. So that's really good to kind of be forward-thinking and already in that process of knowing what you don't like or what you are interested in and testing that out. That's
Definitely.
great. So do you all go into high schools and go about this and trying to speak with them and maybe counselors as well?
We are always happy to visit high schools, middle schools, community programs, faith-based institutions. Wherever youth are, we go. And we tell them who we are, what we do, and help them get connected and with our services and the programs and where else they might be able to get the assistance that they need. So they just give us a call.
How do you feel right now with, let's say, teens that are in high school, junior, senior year? What are some good projections for them as careers that would be good, solid careers to start looking into, or things on the rise for the future years?
In all of our youth programs, we've had lately a very strong focus in what we call STEM. That's the subjects of science, technology, engineering, and math.
Wow. Okay.
And we've also added in entrepreneurship and innovation because that really is the careers of the future. I mean, thinking about back, when I was in high school, there was no person that was their career field was a mobile app developer.
Right.
That's completely new. So anything that someone is interested in going into is definitely they're going to need that foundation. So we say take as many of those classes as possible, get yourself ready. So those are the career fields that we feel like are going to be most abundant in the future. We also look at healthcare. We've got an aging population, a growing population, so it's going to be something that's definitely needed in the future. That too is becoming highly technical with medical records going digital, with robotics and surgeries being done. The doctors over here in one country and the patients in the other. So even if you want to do that, there's different elements of STEM that will go into it.
And I think it's important for them to also keep in mind that let's say their passion is not in what would be traditionally a STEM field. Maybe they're really excited about dance as a career or art as a career. Maybe they want to go into cosmetology. Every career field under the sun now has its connections in STEM. So let's say it's dance that you're interested in. Well, someone has to choreograph the moves for the next big dance game that's coming out or for the next big fitness game that's going to be coming out. Our hair care products are made through chemicals. So that's science. Even art now, graphic design, someone is doing marketing for posters, movies, game design. It all has its roots back in the science technology, but it still intersects the arts and culture that they might be excited about.
That's great because I would have been that kid in high school going, what are you talking about? I don't do math and science. I want to go do this or whatever, and going, well, I'm just turned off to that. But that's crazy because it does all overlap. It all stems from STEM. Well named, really well named.
Yes.
Wow. Well, how do you deal with, let's say a teenager that takes a career assessment test maybe, and they go, what are they talking about? I listed all these things and I answered all these questions in this quiz right, but none of these things that they're giving me are things I'm interested in. And it seems like that might be discouraging or even confusing, because then they just go, well, I really don't know what I want to do. Where am I supposed to go from here? What do you say to them?
It can be very confusing to see that, and like you said, very discouraging.
Right, yeah.
So what we do is we say, well, let's not look at the job title, and let's look at the job description. Let's talk about what they're doing. Let's say someone is really excited about art, and they get a graphic designer as their job of choice, and they go, I don't really know what's going on with that. I don't think I really want to work with computers. So we start looking at it. Well, graphic designers are innovative. They do design. They like to think outside the box. They're artistic. So that's where that interest is getting pulled from with the assessment. So we try to get them to look at what they're passionate about, what their skill is, and what their interest is, and start looking and thinking outside of that box of, what other jobs utilize what's already inside you that you're just dying to get out and go do? Because there's a wealth of opportunities out there.
That's great. And that's really important too, even for teens getting ready to go to college, because that's a daunting process too, of going, you want me to declare a major? I just decided I want to go to college. I don't know what major I need to get into. And even the people that select a major when they're a freshman, but they don't even graduate with that degree, because by the time they're a senior, they change their major a couple different times, and their interests changed, and they may have taken a class and said, well, I don't want to do that. Is that what it's really about? And they change it. So that's just great to know and to prepare. And for a student like that who might select one major and then learn and then change it to something else, do you feel like, are they more at a loss because maybe they went all throughout high school thinking, I want to be this, but then they get to college and go, wait, I want to do biology or something totally different?
No, I think one of the most important things is to help them understand that this is a normal progression. Very rarely does someone pick a career at a very early age and stick to just that career for the rest of their life. You know, there's a lot of career transitioners, you know, later in life as well. So that's okay. It's just that the important thing is that they enjoy the process, and that at some point they do definitely want to focus on some sort of occupation that they want to go into. But if they're flexible while they're in school, especially those first 2 years of college, and you're taking those general education courses, that's the time to take things that you think you might be interested in or you aren't quite sure, and it'll help you definitely narrow down, and that's a normal process. So.
That's good. So they're not alone. It's normal. Totally normal.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And then you weed out what you don't like and what you do like. So that's a great process. Well, if we have a teen or a parent watching right now and they think you all sound wonderful, they want to know more about this, how can they find out more about what you do?
Well, they can look on our website at myouthcareercenter.org. They can find us on Facebook, where we list everything that we're doing, including our success stories. We actually got 2 within a minute and a half yesterday about students getting a job at a local grocery store. So they can get a good track about what's going on. We're on Twitter. They can call us, 233-8686, and find us in Pembroke Mall. We're right by Sears.
That's wonderful. Well, great. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for being here. And
thank you for having
us. We've
us.
shared tons of great information. We really appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Joy in Our Town.
This program has been sponsored by the Trinity Broadcasting Network and made possible by your telethon dollars. Your continual support can keep Joy in Our Town brought to your home every day. So write Joy in Our Town, P.O. Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711.